Have you ever felt the quiet pressure to smile, to comply, to be agreeable even when something inside you is deeply unsettled? Have you ever sensed that saying yes would cost you a part of yourself, yet saying no might cost you everything else? This story belongs to that moment. It is about a woman who lived centuries ago yet faced a struggle that feels painfully familiar to women today. Her name was Vashti, and before history reduced her to a footnote, she was a woman who knew her worth in a world that constantly tried to negotiate it away. Vashti lived in a culture that celebrated power loudly and questioned women quietly. The Persian court under King Xerxes was a place of overwhelming splendor. Gold shimmered on the walls, fine fabrics softened every surface, music echoed through endless halls. Everything was designed to impress, to overwhelm, to silence dissent beneath beauty and excess. In this world, women were often admired, desired, discussed, and displayed, but rarely listened to. Their value was measured by appearance, obedience, and usefulness to male ambition. Vashti stood at the center of this world as queen. To many, she appeared to have everything: status, protection, luxury, influence. Yet what made Vashti remarkable was not what she possessed, but what she refused to surrender. She carried herself with an inner steadiness that did not depend on approval. Her beauty was undeniable, but it was not her currency. It did not define her decisions or dictate her boundaries. She understood that beauty could attract attention, but dignity commanded respect. Women noticed Vashti. They watched how she entered rooms without shrinking, how she spoke without rushing to soften her words, how she did not perform humility to make others comfortable. In quiet ways, she modeled something radical. A woman could be graceful without being submissive, visible without being available, honored without being owned. These were not ideas spoken aloud, but they were felt by those who saw her live them. Men noticed her too. Some admired her presence. Others resented the authority she carried so effortlessly. In a culture that expected women to exist in relation to men, Vashti existed first in relation to herself. She understood who she was before anyone else attempted to define her. And that understanding shaped every choice she made, even when those choices carried risk. King Xerxes ruled with confidence sharpened by indulgence. He was accustomed to being obeyed. His commands moved armies and shaped nations. The court existed to affirm his power, and over time, excess blurred the line between leadership and entitlement. What began as authority hardened into assumption. What was once responsibility turned into expectation. And like many powerful men, he assumed the people closest to him were extensions of his will. Vashti was not blind to this reality. She observed the way power shifted when wine flowed freely. She noticed how admiration turned into possession, how praise quietly became permission. She understood that comfort could dull conscience, and celebration could excuse cruelty. She did not fear her husband, but she was not naive about the world she lived in. She knew how easily women were reduced to symbols instead of treated as souls. When the great feast was announced, it was framed as celebration, a gathering meant to display the glory of the kingdom. Day after day, officials and nobles were entertained with extravagance. Wealth was paraded openly. Boundaries were loosened. Self-restraint faded beneath indulgence. It was the kind of environment many women recognize even now. A space where saying no becomes harder as expectations grow louder. During this feast, Vashti hosted a separate gathering for the women of the palace. It was orderly, intentional, respectful. While excess dominated one side of the court, dignity governed the other. This contrast mattered. It revealed how differently power could be expressed. One demanded attention, the other cultivated respect. Vashti understood that leadership did not require spectacle. Then the command came. It did not arrive as a conversation or a request. It arrived as an order. Vashti was to appear before the king and his guests wearing her royal crown, so that her beauty could be displayed. In that moment, everything became clear. This was not about honoring her position. It was about using her presence to elevate male pride. Her body, her image, her identity were being summoned as proof of another man's power. Women watching this story know this moment well. The request disguised as opportunity. The expectation masked as honor. The pressure to comply for the sake of peace, reputation, or survival. Vashti understood immediately what was at stake. Compliance would protect her position, but it would fracture her integrity. Refusal would preserve her dignity, but invite punishment. She paused. In that pause lived every calculation women still make today. What will this cost me? What will I lose if I say no? What part of myself disappears if I say yes? Vashti knew the law. She knew the danger. Queens did not refuse kings. Women did not challenge authority. Silence itself could be interpreted as rebellion. Yet she also knew something deeper. Once dignity is surrendered, it is rarely returned. The command asked her to become less than she was, to reduce herself to an object, to stand before men who had been drinking for days and allow her beauty to be consumed as entertainment. This was not a misunderstanding, it was a violation, and Vashti recognized it as such. She thought of the women who looked to her, the ones watching quietly, the ones learning what was acceptable by observing what she tolerated. She thought of herself years from now, remembering this moment. Would she recognize the woman she became by agreeing, or would she carry the quiet ache of self-betrayal? Vashti refused. She did not shout. She did not humiliate the king publicly. She simply withheld her presence, a decision that echoed louder than any speech. In that refusal, she chose self-respect over safety, integrity over approval, truth over comfort. It was a choice many women still face, often without witnesses, often without praise. The palace did not immediately erupt, but the shift was undeniable. A boundary had been drawn where none was expected. A woman had said no where silence was assumed. The power dynamics trembled. The king's authority, once unquestioned, now felt exposed. In that moment, Vashti lost control of her future, but she reclaimed ownership of herself. She stood alone, but she stood whole. And though she did not yet know the cost, she knew the value of what she protected. The consequences would come swiftly. The crown would be taken. Her name would be questioned. Her story would be reshaped by those in power. But before any of that happened, Vashti made one thing unchangeable. She did not abandon herself. And that choice still speaks. It speaks to women pressured to stay silent, to women expected to endure discomfort to preserve harmony, to women told their worth is conditional upon compliance. Vashti's refusal reminds us that dignity is not granted by position. It is claimed through courage. This is where her story turns, not at the loss of a crown, but at the preservation of self, and the kingdom would never be the same. For every woman who has ever weighed safety against truth, Vashti stands as quiet testimony. She did not know her story would travel centuries. She did not know others would see themselves in her choice. She only knew that self-respect, once broken, reshapes a life from the inside out. And in protecting it, even briefly, she offered future generations permission to choose themselves, even when the cost feels unbearable. Her courage whispers still, steady, and alive, wherever women choose dignity over fear. Today, the refusal did not echo through the palace with noise. It arrived quietly, carried back by messengers who could barely lift their eyes as they spoke. Queen Vashti would not come. The words landed like a crack in polished marble. For a moment, the court froze. Wine cups hovered midair. conversations stopped. No one expected this outcome because no one believed refusal was an option. King Xerxes felt the weight of it immediately. What had been indulgence curdled into humiliation. His authority had been challenged in front of men who measured strength by control. In that moment, his anger was not only personal, it was political. A queen had drawn a boundary. And boundaries expose power that relies on entitlement. The king did not rush to respond. He turned instead to his advisors, men whose loyalty was tied to preserving hierarchy. Their concern was not Vashti herself, but the example her refusal might set. If a queen could say no, what would stop other women from doing the same? What would happen if silence was replaced with resistance? The language shifted quickly. Dignity became disobedience. Boundaries became rebellion. A woman's refusal was reframed as a threat to social order. This is how power protects itself. It redefines courage as danger and conviction as defiance. Vashti was no longer discussed as a person. She became a problem to be solved. The decision came swiftly. Vashti would be removed as queen. Her crown would be taken, her position erased. The court would move forward without her. To many watching, this looked like justice, a necessary consequence, a warning. But beneath the ceremony of punishment was fear. Fear that a woman had acted freely. For Vashti, the loss was immediate. Status vanished. Privilege disappeared. The life she knew ended without appeal. She was stripped of visibility and influence in a single decree. To the world, it appeared she had lost everything. This is the part of the story that often frightens women. The reminder that standing up can cost comfort, security, and belonging. Yet there is another truth unfolding beneath the surface. While the crown was removed from her head, something else remained intact. Her self-respect, her identity, her inner authority. No decree could take that from her. Vashti walked away without applause, without vindication, without restoration. But she walked away whole. Women watching this story understand that kind of loss. The job that disappears after you speak up. The relationship that ends when you stop tolerating disrespect. The isolation that follows honesty. Courage rarely comes with immediate reward. Often it comes with silence. Sometimes with rejection. The court moved on quickly. Another queen would eventually be chosen. History would shift its focus. Vashti would be remembered briefly, if at all. But her refusal left a mark that could not be erased. It unsettled assumptions. It disrupted comfort. It planted a quiet question in the minds of those who witnessed it. What if obedience is not the highest virtue? What if dignity matters more? Vashti's story is not one of revenge or triumph as the world defines it. She was not restored to power. She did not reclaim her throne. She did not receive an apology. Her victory was internal, and because of that, it was invisible to many. Yet internal victories are the ones that change lives. She became a mirror for women who would come after her. Women navigating expectations that ask them to shrink, endure, or comply at the expense of self. Women pressured to present strength while swallowing discomfort. Women told that silence is safer than truth. Vashti's refusal offers another option. Her courage did not roar, it whispered. And whispers can travel farther than shouts. Her story reminds us that refusing what diminishes you is not weakness. It is wisdom, even when the cost is high. Even when the outcome is uncertain, there is grief in her story. Grief for what was lost, grief for what could have been. Courage does not cancel sorrow, it walks alongside it. Vashti likely mourned her place, her influence, the life she built. Strength does not erase pain. It simply refuses to let pain redefine worth. Women today face similar crossroads, moments when silence feels easier than honesty, when compliance promises safety, when saying no threatens stability. Vashti's story does not pretend these choices are simple. It does not promise reward. It offers something more honest. Permission. Permission to choose dignity even when the world demands submission. Permission to walk away without knowing what comes next. Permission to believe that preserving self-respect is never a loss, even when everything else is taken. Vashti did not know her story would endure. She did not know women centuries later would see themselves in her choice. She only knew that she could not betray herself and remain whole. That knowledge was enough. Her legacy is not found in a crown or a title. It lives in every woman who chooses integrity over approval, in every boundary drawn without apology, in every refusal spoken softly but firmly. Vashti reminds us that power does not always look like dominance. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Sometimes it looks like walking away. If this story resonates with you, it is because you have stood in a similar place. You have weighed the cost. You have felt the fear. You have questioned whether saying no was worth the consequences. Vashti's story does not answer every question, but it affirms this truth. You are not wrong for protecting yourself. Her courage did not save her position, but it preserved her soul. And that is a victory no one could take from her. If this story spoke to you, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever been pressured to compromise who you are? Have you ever been punished for setting a boundary? Have you ever chosen silence when your spirit urged you to speak? Type your experience in the comment. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Your support helps more stories like this reach women who feel alone in their courage. Let us pray. God of truth and justice, you see every woman who has been asked to shrink, endure, or remain silent. You see the cost of courage and the pain of loss. Grant strength to those who choose dignity over fear. Heal the wounds left by standing alone. Restore what has been taken unjustly. And remind every heart that integrity is never wasted in your sight. Amen. Thank you for watching.